What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with your one and only rock star, Mike Davidson. Wayne. Yes, My Fierce Swings Radio. Yes, right here and right now we've got our boy McKinley on with us from VH1 to the floor. Now, you guys know who McKinley plays. He plays Derek, Aisha's ex-boyfriend, but now he's trying to get his way back in there because I'm hoping that he will get in there and, Jeremy will move to the left side. What's going on, McKinley?
What's going on, man? Hey, bro, I need you to be a lot clearer about how you feel about the show should go, man. You got character days and strategies, man. I love it, bro. That's fantastic.
Listen, I've been a fan from the beginning with the show, and I'm gonna tell you before I started asking you different questions, stuff like that. My thing is, I was kind of on defense how Aisha went with German, I'm just like, wait a minute, this just did not just happen. But I do see where the whole incident, why it would happen. I'm just like, but it's an irresistible relationship when filming. Last season of the show and, the whole thing went left. What was your thoughts on how, everything just kind of went from, to a positive to a negative with Aisha and Derek's relationship?
I think it's just the thing about Aisha and Derek, I think, is with any relationship in life that you invest your time and love and effort into it, it's complicated. You know what I mean? The more time you spend focusing on a specific thing, the more complicated is the choices that you have to make associated with it. And I think, the relationship between Aisha and Derek is definitely no different. But the beautiful thing about the story is it's something that we all can relate to at some level. Man, how many people have been like, yo, I really want to be with so-and-so, and I truthfully know, but this person's safe. Or I really want to go after that job, but I can't because this is the thing that is helping me maintain this whatever I have today. And there's something about Derek, I think, that that's appealing to me for that no matter what it is, he's still going to go for what this is Derek's time. It's listen, this is what I want, and what I'm willing to do what it takes to go after it. And if you're in the way, the season's very much about power for everyone. And I think as the season continues to unfold, it's just going to be fun to watch, man. And I think, again, and I said this before we started recording, and it's worth mentioning again that, the fans that waited forever for the show to come back on, they won't be disappointed because we're no longer talking about how long the show's been off. We're talking about what's happening, and right. The truth is that the season only gets exponentially better, which is crazy. So it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Man, I'm totally ready. I just love the fact that this season, we were saying that, how I was just saying, it's left, right, then it's a right, then it's a left, and it's oh shit, didn't expect that coming at all. What are your thoughts on this season versus the previous season? Because it's pretty freaking hot. It's just whoa. You
know what it is, man? I've literally, every episode I watch is man, that might be the best episode of this show that I've seen since we started. And that, man, that's such a blessing, bro. We're now 3 seasons in, and I'm watching stuff. You have to remember that, none of us get to see what we do until it comes on TV and you see it. So it's not like we get to watch playback or dailies. And so I see, not only do I see my work when it airs, but I see everybody else's because we all don't necessarily work at the same time sometimes. So for that, we all share a similar interest with the fans and being oh, man, I wonder how all this is going to come together. It's going to be fun, In the end, man, it definitely is very much about, if you think about the first season, it was very much about understanding this world, giving you a feel for what this world that hit the floor is, right? And then the second season, start to settle in and people start to really go after the things that are important to them. And then, of course, you have this murder mystery and all this other stuff. And then this third season, to be completely honest with you, I feel like everybody's settled in so beautifully, man. If you look at how Jodie Lynn O'Keefe is playing Lionel Kincaid, or how Adam's playing Zero, Brent's playing Jude, Rob's playing Terrence, Yelena's playing Yelena. You know what I mean? Logan is so good. It's just so. I'm so proud of us as people, continually to invest and making the most of the opportunities that we have. And I think it really shows in the show. And we genuinely look forward to working and hanging around one another, and I think all that definitely comes out on camera. So it's I mean, I really can't say enough about the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell that you guys have such a great experience, and the chemistry that you guys have is like undeniably there on and off camera, because it's like, you know, you guys really fuse and tap into, like, I don't know who the hell is y'all casting director, but they picked y'all are like just the perfect fit for like these characters. It's just so crazy that, you know, because you don't see a lot of shows where it's like, oh wow, this was great, but y'all are like smoking aces.
Well, listen, man, that's a tremendous compliment, and I appreciate that. First of all, second of all, I want to also say thank you for supporting the show, because I know that you've watched from the beginning, and man, I don't want that. I don't want you to say that and us to gloss over that like that's just a normal thing. Like I definitely appreciate your passion for the show and having me on, but listen, man, the show and the relationships that we have and the depth of the relationships that we have, man, it's really interesting, because if you think about it, like, acting is just weird in general. When you ask two strangers to come together and pretend like you've been looking for each other your entire life, you know what I mean? Like sometimes when you watch stuff on TV that reads, or on film it reads, and sometimes it doesn't. And for whatever reason, man, it does. And like you said, that's the tremendous credit to casting and the producers. And the funny part, man, is the audition I went in for and the callback for the producers was for Terrence.
Wow.
And months had passed since I auditioned for this a few years ago in like a January, and I didn't hear back about the job until like mid-March. So I had forgot about it, bro. So I was like, man, look, you know, at that point I'd already booked another job, and, you know, it was just a recurring for, it was for the role of Terrence. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then from there, man, I went in there, did my audition, and then they ended up calling, you know, one of the producers kind of ran into the parking lot when I was about to pull off, and she was like, hey, can you come back in and read for a different character? I was like, yeah, and it ended up being for Derek, man, and then the rest is kind of history. But I was literally on my way to leave. Like, had done my audition. Everybody said thank you. I'm minding my own business and was just headed to my car, man, and they were like, hey, can you come back and read for something else? I was like, for sure.
Right.
It's just those moments, man.
It definitely is. And I like the fact that you guys, like, audition for, like, the complete opposite, like, roles, and then you guys got the perfect roles. I think that was very unique. Talked with Rob as well about that, and I was just like, yo, like, that is absolutely dope that just happened to be that way.
Yeah, it's funny because just the way it works out is that, I mean, now you look at it, I can't imagine playing Terrence. I could never imagine playing Terrence, and I don't think Rob could ever imagine being Derek. So it's crazy.
And what I also like the fact of is that with you being in the show, like, you've had, you know, previous background with playing basketball in college, correct?
Yeah, and I played ball at the University of Illinois, so that definitely. I apologize for the noise. I'm driving around like a crazy person, but I played basketball at the University of Illinois for a while, so that was a blessing. And basically to be in those situations where you're acting and you're doing a lot of movement and those things, are definitely, you know, right. It's like riding a bike, basketball. At some level, at that level. I mean, I definitely don't plan on getting out there and running around with LeBron and those cats, but I don't think most people are. But right. You know, just for what we need for the show, it works perfectly, man. And the back, and that's the thing. If you think about it, my entire, you know, high school coming up, like, man, I was doing all those drills and all that other stuff, thinking I was about to go to the league, and here it is that it helps me do something that I had no idea I was prepared to do. And I think it's actually an interesting kind of lesson in life, man, is that, like, it's really not about what we're doing right now. Like, what we're doing right now is important, but it's not the most important thing ever, because it too will pass and there'll be something else. It's about being flexible. Right. And I think that's how I got into acting. I was minding my own business, working for IBM, and then this came, and I figured, why the hell not? And went with it, man. I think you just have the courage. You got to have the courage to fail. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with it.
No, that's what I try to tell people. Like, you have to really have that courage to fail. Like, you got to understand, like, that whatever you're in, like, you're going to fail and you're going to pick up at something else and you're going to realize, okay, this is it for me. And the fact that you went from working in the world of finance to then, you know, be an actor, like, that is crazy. Like, that's like a complete, like, that's a right. That's a complete right from a left.
Well, my thing is this, man. It might appear that way, but it might appear that way, but the mindset is the same, right? The mindset's the same. It's like, yo, like, if I'm gonna be in finance, I'm gonna be the best finance person this place has ever hired.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I'm gonna sell mangoes, I'm gonna be the best mango seller on the beach. Like, it's a mentality, man. Like, I just refuse to believe that we're all born here to be average.
Right.
Like, I refuse to make average choices. I refuse to put in average investment in my time and my resources and in anything, because you can't withdraw more than you deposit, if that makes any sense, and that's in anything.
No, that makes total sense. It definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely great the fact that, you know, you've had your share, and I mean, it's a great thing that you've been in, you know, corporate America, and then you just went into doing something which, I mean, of course, is still corporate America, because we all get W-2s and everything with all that we do, but it's in a whole nether, you know, light and another magnitude. It's showing, you know, personality, it's showing a lot. And I think that's really dope, because you do great with acting, and I think it is, you know, the fact of you being a part of such a phenomenal show. I mean, it's one of the highest rated shows on VH1 right now. I think that speaks for itself to be amazing.
Yeah, and it's definitely a blessing, man. I'm very fortunate, and like, man, no person can act by themselves, and it's always about, you know, the ensemble. We got such a great group of people in front of and behind the camera that bring it all together. But no, I definitely get the you know, you just have to the experience from corporate America. You know, have you ever had a job that you just knew that, like, if I ever had to do that again, I will definitely be doing something else? You know what I mean? There's that job that you can remember where it's like, man, I remember what that's like. That's why I get up early to hustle my other hustle, so I never have to do that again. And fortunately for me, that IBM job wasn't that bad, but it's more so of an idea that I've got to, you know, incorporate a lot of other people's values and choices and timelines into the future that I want for myself. And at some point you have to, and I get that that's part of it, but it was more so about being honest with myself about how I wanted my life to. And with that, man, and the only reason why I'm bringing that up is that's the only reason, in my opinion, why I could be an effective actor, is because I've put myself in a situation where I feel like I haven't arrived here accidentally. Like, I want to arrive at a point in my life where everywhere I show up is not an accident. Like, we got here because of hard work. Like, the Illicit movie that I got coming out next year, like, I think it's gonna do well, and it's because everyone that showed up in front of and behind the camera, even though we were working with you know, a tighter budget than most, came in and did their thing, and I think people are gonna love it. So it's those kinds of things, man. Just doing the things that remind you of why you do what you do, and inspire others, collaboration, like all those things, man. All those things work together.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad the fact that you mentioned this upcoming role, because I know you've been, like, hard at work doing different auditions and the callbacks, and, you know, it's just been such a great response. You know, tell us about this upcoming role that you have coming.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It's called Illicit. It's an erotic thriller. It's a movie that I acted in and I also produced. And it'll come out this year, probably later this year. And basically it kind of explores the idea of, like, what if a married couple were both having extramarital affairs and neither one of them knew? And the story kind of explores, like, how dangerously close those two things get together, like those two opposite worlds come clashing together, and then addresses the question, is it possible to have everything and not lose it all? It's good, man. I think the acting is, I'm real particular about my own acting, so I won't even comment on that. But, like, the stuff that I've seen that David Ramsey's done, Michael Monks, Vivica Fox, Dean, like, Essence Atkins, Vincent Ward, like, man, Deion Gibson, like, our cast is pretty amazing. And
wow.
to be able to pull that off, like, I'm telling you, like, I'll put it to you like this. The director called me one day, and he was like, McKinley, I hope you realize that, like, dudes are going to want to fight you, and girls are either going to love you or they're going to hate you. I'm like, oh, man, it sounds like I did my job then, I guess.
Right.
So it's going to be fun to watch, man.
No, that's amazing. And you mentioned, like, a great cast. What is it like working with those names? Because you mentioned some hot commodities out the bunch.
Oh, man, it's great, man. I've worked with Vivica on an independent movie before called Green Card Warriors. So Vivica's Vivica, man. Like, Vivica's amazing. And Dean Kane is actually, I credit a lot of my success in the business to Dean, because he's one of the first people. The first day I hit the floor when we first started working, like, I could just tell Dean was like mentoring me a little bit, and he's always been very honest with me, and he's always, just watching how he carries himself and the way he handles his business. It's him and Kimberly Elise are two people that I look up to a lot, and I respect a lot in the business, just because how they handle themselves on set and off set. They're both just fantastic people.
And I have a question from one of my friends. They wanted to know, and they were dying for me to ask you, because they know that when you're not filming, you're either playing sports or you're cooking. What do you like to cook? Like, what type of food do you like to eat to keep you?
Oh, bro, right now I eat, I eat just about everything. But my passion right now, when I have the time, is barbecue. I took this. I actually have a smoker. I've got a grill. I got a wood, kind of like a clay oven, pizza oven that I haven't quite used yet. But man, I'll be out there barbecuing, bro. Like, I think a couple weeks ago I had like a little small barbecue, and I smoked like maybe 3 or 4 racks of ribs, and I made some Korean short ribs and all this other stuff. So that's like my thing right now. It's like the baby backs and the spare ribs, I've got those down pretty good. So now I'm gonna graduate to figure out how to make like a brisket or pulled pork or something like that. But that's kind of like, it's funny you mentioned that, man, because I was thinking that. I was like, man, I need to figure out where I can, maybe there's a butcher here in the valley I could find where might be able to find a good cut of meat that I could play with in a couple of days. But that's definitely it.
No, that's what's up. Yeah, you got to find one. I'm sure you can find one out there somewhere in the valley, somewhere.
Yeah. Man, it's L.A., bro. There's something always relatively close. So, yeah. But my thing is that it's just, again, man, like, just trying different stuff. Why not? If you want to hop on before the finale, would love to do that. Maybe even take some questions or whatever. But I would love to hop back on with you, bro.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely appreciate chatting with you, because your work is absolutely dope. I was like, as soon as I found out who your team was, I was like, okay, we need McKinley. We need him now. Like, how quick can you get him to us? Like,
that's funny.
Because I'm serious. Like, you are that dope, and I'm, clearly you can tell I watched the show. But that show, like we even spoke offline and said, it's something that people have not seen really. So, their opinions on the show is like, But I was like, hell, this is a good ass show. So I want to, really find out about these different cast members. Because you guys are a cool bunch.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, again, the show. Again, people waited forever for the show to come back on. So grateful that people are still in tune, still into the storyline, still love the characters. I mean, that's a blessing. And just as me, my acting and anything else that I bring to the table, man, first and foremost, I just thank people for taking the time to allow me and my castmates to entertain them, because there's so many different ways and so many different things out there vying for people's attention that for somebody to take an hour to dedicate to watching the show and tweet about it and all that other stuff, man, like, that means a lot to me. But I take it seriously, man. Like, I don't, this is a job. You know what I mean? Like, this is as much fun as it is, and I love it. Like, there's a responsibility that I have, and I don't take that responsibility lightly. So I'm glad that I'm very fortunate that people appreciate the work that I do. And if for some reason they didn't, know that I would be working just as hard to get better at it. So I definitely appreciate that.
McKinley, thank you so much for, joining us this evening. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Like, keep up the work. And yeah, we'll definitely have to chat it up, towards the end of the season. Maybe like we'll do like a Google Hangout so that your fans can interact.
Yeah, let's rap about it and see what we can come up with, but I'm definitely down to figure it out.
Well, just in case people don't know where they can follow you on social media, let them know where they can follow you, and then what day and what time on VH1 they can check you and the crew out.
Oh, absolutely. So Twitter and Instagram is both at McKinley Freeman, McKinley Freeman. And the show Hit the Floor airs Monday night at VH1, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 Central, 7 Pacific, and then it re-airs again at 10 Pacific time. So, and usually I'm online, like when it's on, like as nervous as I am when the show comes on, I'm definitely usually tweeting and stuff like that, and I love interacting, so hit me up.